Just again, thank you everyone for being here. Some have come far and wide. I think I perhaps represent more the will and the heart of this sort of project. You guys represent the head, and that is to make what is potentially complex challenges doable solutions. South Australian government perhaps were the first to really grab the concept, and now it's fully acknowledged. Amazing export and renewable energy source, particularly green hydrogen, which is what we're focusing on, certainly in Australia, certainly in this area under DETA. Perhaps can we go around the room very briefly and just introduce ourselves, a minute or less, who you are, in a sense what's brought you to the hall that time forgot in the Tyagarah airstrip.
Nick Watson. I've been in the energy industry for about 20 years now. This while I'm a petroleum engineer by background. I've been working with DETA since April, I think, earlier this year.
Hi everyone, my name is for Hydrogen Australia, which is a peak industry body for hydrogen in Australia. You've heard of the Smart Energy Council, we're a division of the Smart Energy Council. I've been working there for about a year and a bit now, and prior to that I was actually working on the Asia Renewable Energy Hub.
Yeah, I'm Sabine Muschter. I'm together with Mieke. We come from the tourism school at Southern Coast University, which is now the business and tourism school. It might not be existing anytime soon, but we wait and see. And we just, kind of considering how we can bring this project into an educational tour system, maybe we have better words for it. So just here to observe.
I'm Mieke Witsel. We both have PhDs in the area of tourism education and learning. Mine's more on the agricultural area.
Basically extends from the Queensland border down to the edges of Clarence Valley, down southern edges of Clarence Valley. We've put a bid in for hydrogen cluster facilitator, people doing things in confined dark corners that you never know about. And I put the call out a couple of months ago. And we ended up with about 30 odd people that are interested in the hydrogen industry supply chain somewhere. And funnily enough, most of the conversation started like, Tim, this sounds great, but why Northern Rivers? And after I got to about the 15th call, I think I know why we picked Northern Rivers. So look, the idea is whether we get funding through for a facilitator or not, and I'll talk to you later, Max. We'll push something ahead. Indeed, Peter attended a small meeting we had the other day, so I think we've got something special happening here in the region, right through from the production all the way through to the value added end. So I think, and under the leadership of the good mayor like Simon Richardson is for this region for renewables, these are the sort of people that we look up to and take the lead from. So I'm very happy that you're here.
I was focused within the Siemens world recently on the emerging technologies, business development, and my focus was hydrogen, e-mobility, microgrids, that type of thing, battery storage. I'm responsible for the first and largest PEM electrolyzer project that's going into South Australia. It should be energised, pumping hydrogen into the gas network at the moment. So this is about decarbonising the gas network. That's a 1.25 megawatt solution supplied by Siemens for AGIG in the Tonsley Park precinct. And I've started my own consulting business, which is called H2O. And I'm assisting both Nick and DETA and associated partners on this particular project as it relates to the hydrogen.
So we're really excited to be the partners here for DETA and TGE in regards to the solar farm and the hydrogen. I think what's really attracted to us is just the community aspect of this project. Building solar farms is our core business, so that will happen. But the really exciting part is the community aspect and really making a difference. It's very rare now that we can do that. So we're very excited to be partners here.
Resident of Byron Bay for about 45 years. I've been a builder for 40. I built a couple of houses for DETA, we've been friends ever since. And a couple of years ago DETA asked me to come and manage Eagle Farm for him, which I've been doing ever since, and that's my involvement with DETA over a 40-year span we've known each other. Great guy.
Electrical as well. Yeah, we're very excited, like Joel said, about being involved, and it's obviously a natural progression for our business. We've done solar farms now for about 3 or 4 years and gone right through from 100 kilowatts right up to 30 megawatts of builds generally. We've got a sister company, Byron, that focus in on the larger utility solar farms as well, which is up to about 300 megawatts. So we do large scale sort of builds, but again, this is a great opportunity for us at a sort of a smaller level to what we're used to in terms of solar farms, but to progress our business into the next page, which is understanding hydrogen.
This is a region where I guess, pretty rare this side of the range that people are investing in solar farms due to perhaps value of the land and less quality of sun. But it also is a sign that this area is really committed to getting to that microgrid level, getting to that off, out of that centralised energy model, which of course hydrogen can help facilitate really strongly. So there's a lot happening, not just in Byron, but in the Northern Rivers. So it's a really exciting time to be exploring how we can partner and how we can make things happen. So Dieter, over to you.
Yeah. Thank you for the experts in different fields, hydrogen or photovoltaic. We start with single axle bifacial solar panels here on the farm across the airstrip, 4.6 megawatt NGE. We talk technical and I'm happy that we have the same technical solution. In this, we maybe got a bit different in transforming this into the grid with SMA. It's maybe not of big, but similar to this. And we go in the grid, come to the house, and the PPA is in order. So that's happen in the hopefully next year, first and second quarter. This is happening, and this is a good start. And then we got experts like Warner. He works with our companies. We got TGE at Byron Eco Park. Nick says later on something to this. It's in our hand to do this here. All of us in our hand. So that's a start. And then we want to go 24/7. And I said yesterday, a microgrid without hydrogen can't replace a power station. And that's what I really believe in. So we set up a microgrid. In this case, Siemens 8.8 megawatt plant has to be like this, but it's a nice, one of the leading PEM electrolyzer, not out in the desert. So and that's ultra clean water. My companies in Germany, we are expert in that. We know what to do, and then to make it 24/7, we have a fuel cell stationary to feed it back in the grid. You can see when we have sunshine and solar, we get 100% in sunshine time, but this train only gives us 40% power back. But we get hopefully more money for the 40% than we get for the 100%. And we start making the microgrid. Something is missing in between here. We store the hydrogen. This is an energy carrier. It's not energy itself, it's an energy carrier with 30 bar or 3.5 megapascal. So that's step 2. I'm looking at a few people here. We need seed funding because when we buy all this stuff here, it costs us to store energy in and get it out. It costs over 20 cents a kilowatt hour, and that's not possible. We have to be more compatible and need seed funding here to start with. But this is really flexible for us. We got much more opportunities with this sort of setup than with batteries. And in future, this will be more flexible and cheaper than batteries. No? This is a new development, new area. Germany is in this sort of things, Siemens, leading in this technology. And then we worked out, we need one thing we go from 30 bar to 750 bar. That is for cars to fill in. We start e-mobility here. We got space next to the solar farm to have pavilions here with fuel cell cars, different brands. We can have here in the Shire school buses filling up. We got rubbish trucks, we were talking to them. They are really quiet and better than batteries getting around in these things. We got forklifts running with fuel cells. In Germany there were trains. We can have our train from Byron Bay to Molenbeek with hydrogen if you want, and we got trucks. Yeah. And we are next to the M1 highway, so we build the first nest of hydrogen here. So we can have local things, tractors and ships, on any other spots. That is a start or step number 3. And then you can transport this between Brisbane and Canberra. We're making every 400 km or whatever a nest of hydrogen fuel station. Then we do this. This is the next step. And then we got the M1 highway. We can run trucks and everything between Brisbane and Canberra. So that is then the step number 4. When we can transport fossil fuel around the world, we can do this with hydrogen. And then the future is already here in Germany. A friend of mine, we got this glider, 2 gliders put together, electric engine in the middle, hydrogen fuel cell in there, and that's in Stuttgart, DLR, German Aerospace. They fly this, friend of mine fly.
I picked up the 2018 CSIRO roadmap study, which I think Warner had a heavy hand in. It's 100 and something pages. I read it all, but that was it for me. And I've just been looking for opportunities to participate in this space, whether as a consultant or these types of projects. But the one thing that struck me is there's lots of tech on here in all of these kind of projects, but this is stuff we do today. We're not talking about a new concept. We're talking about a new concept maybe in the way the consumer and this part is interacting with these projects, but we're doing this. We've got poles and wires, we've got solar farms, we've got electrolyzers, we've got storage. We've been handling hydrogen for I don't know how long in other industries. We make ammonia today by busting apart natural gas, carbon dioxide unfortunately goes to the atmosphere, and we take the hydrogen and smash it together with nitrogen. So this is all something we do today. This is nothing new. The exciting thing here though is hydrogen has the ability to come into the economy and displace natural gas completely. So projects like this are really important to kind of get the community on. Warner talked about a 1.25 megawatt project in South Australia. Well, this will be kind of 4 or 5 megawatts. So we're already making big leaps, yeah? And then beyond that, we've already got kind of gigawatts, big scale projects in the pipeline. So this is coming, and this is going to be a pretty important project to kind of help Australia kind of go down that path. For me, the trick with this kind of stuff with all energy projects is to not dumb it down, but simplify it so you can communicate with the investor. All of this can be a little bit overwhelming, but essentially what we've got is 3 phases. We've got a solar farm, we've got an end goal to produce hydrogen to sell it into a mobility market, and we need to think about what happens in between, because the mobility market, so all this stuff here is coming. We know, like even Solo, the guys on the road with the garbage trucks, they want this, but they don't have a hydrogen truck today. So we can build a refueling station now, all of this stuff, but don't have a market to put it in. So what do? Peter's got a DA, he's ready to go. He wants to get going with his project, but we're not really ready with the market. What we can do is kind of build part of the project, start producing the hydrogen, and as Dita said, start feeding that back into the grid. So Nova and retailers in this space have got lots of rooftop solar and lots of solar coming into their system in the middle of the day, not really when they need it. We can use the electrolyzer and the fuel cell and storage to kind of capture that energy during the middle of the day and then push it back into the grid when the network requires it. So that's the morning peak when everyone's up before work and the evening peak. That's a really interesting part of the project, I think, for us, because it lets us build capability ahead of really then hitting the mobility market when it turns up. I'll say 2025, Deech will say it's 2022, and we'll both be wrong. It'll be 2021, who knows. The challenge with that model though is that today it's not an economic reality to turn the hydrogen back through a fuel cell and put it into the grid. We'd have to charge multiples of what the market's willing to pay for that energy. So the solution for us is simple, but it's a big number. We need a grant, and the grant is about $4 to $5 million to pay for the fuel cell. We can afford everything else in terms of building a commercial story around this and getting investors. So we'll be building a solar farm, we'll connect to the grid, and then we'll have to kind of be ready to respond to the mobility market.
With that, obviously, it's you're going to need, in order to get the investors on board, we need the grant first. Is that right?
No, I don't think so, because I think that the message to investors is, and we talked about this yesterday, so phase one is the solar farm. Yeah, and so investors come in and are investing in that part of the project. They still get their return from the solar investment. You just got to take that next leg into the next part of the business, producing hydrogen.
What Arena's role is.
Great.
What these guys provide seed funding. So we go to them and we've got a good case and say, look, we need the hydrogen, otherwise the vehicles aren't going to come. So we need that grant to get the fuel cell in so that we can buy ourselves time so that those vehicles can come online.
And it's a separate decision for the business. So the business will have a board of directors who will make investment decisions. And I think they're making a separate investment decision at that time. If there's a grant available, then it's kind of here in that's time along the bottom. So that's the decision point. Okay, well, we've got sufficient funding from external sources plus a grant to execute that part of the business. If not, as Wallace said, it'll be a later point in time when the business is able to make an investment decision because there's a market for its product.
Mm-hmm. South Australia, the South Australian government and AGIG have done a very similar thing, but they haven't done the fuel cell approach. What they're doing is they're injecting the gas into the gas network, loss making. But the government gave them, I think it was 5.4 million or 4.8 million as a grant to do that. And now the hydrogen vehicles can come in. So I think Hyundai is sending 20 vehicles down to South Australia. There's a bus being built down there at the moment, hydrogen bus. And so those will now start to come online, and that grant will get them to a point where hydrogen's now available, the vehicles are now available, and they can switch the hydrogen into the vehicles, and that's where the business case is.
Yeah. I think there's also a good sweet spot in timing as far as the state government goes, because we've got Ben Franklin, who lives in Byron, who's Parliamentary Secretary, Renewable Energy, whose best mate on council in state government is Matt Keane, the Environment Minister. So we've got a great opportunity. I think from a state government level perspective, we've got a really nice window to get things in front of them.
We need to have something that's stand out, that's interesting for Arena. I do think the fact that we're on this main artery between Brisbane and Sydney is important, because it's about directing this fuel into the vehicles. And I think that we shouldn't just rely on Arena. We should also look at the other potential seed funding organisations, like there's the German-Australian Alliance, potentially seed funding that comes out of there.
Yeah, so we actually started, we launched last week on Thursday, which was the Renewable Hydrogen Certification Scheme. So Hydrogen Australia is developing a Renewable Hydrogen Certification Scheme. So this is something which verifies that the hydrogen produced or traded or exported, whatever, is green, it's renewable. We're not pursuing a certification scheme which looks at anything else. We're not doing low carbon, we're not doing emissions, fossil fossil fuel produced hydrogen not on the table at all. We're focusing exclusively on green because now is the time to push that forward, develop that industry and really bring value there. And so you bring value by demarcating that and acknowledging that it is different. Because once the molecule itself, you can't tell where that's come from. Ammonia, fossil ammonia and fossil hydrogen look exactly the same as renewable hydrogen, renewable ammonia at a chemical level. So you need to have that traceability to kind of make sure that the industry develops correctly.
So that's a certification?
That's a certification scheme that we've started.
And I can technically see Hydrogen Australia is two developments. One is the microgrid, and with hydrogen we get rid of the dirty power station. But also the microgrid could be a starting point for exporting hydrogen around the world. And that's in Germany, the one that they're prepared to put German technology into this. I talk with the authorities in this way and the knowledge people. So that's where I can see another grant is coming up for this hydrogen. A part of we start here. And this is our technology is known, but I forgot one thing to say. This car fills hydrogen up here and drives home. And then run the house with hydrogen, and the house can feed back in the grid. 4 days. The car. When the car is down in fuel, it drives back, fills up, and goes back. Yeah. So that's something new. And this setup then would be a microgrid and starting point for exporting hydrogen around the world. We got the sunshine here. We got more than double the sun energy per square meter than in Germany.